Hello, what is up everyone? My name is Kay and welcome back to your Survivor 43 recaps. I know it's been a while. I've been doing some traveling recently and haven't been able to upload as often as I should, but I am back now and I'm super duper excited to recap this week's episode with y'all. Last episode, we unfortunately had to say goodbye to Jeanine, but Owen and Sami were really impressing me last episode and they've both been slowly creeping to the top of my winners list. This week's episode was full of more alliance development and some great strategy too. I'm super excited to get into it, but first, if you have not already, make sure you hit the subscribe button below just so you can stay updated as I will be recapping Survivor all season long. Now, let's get into it. So this episode kicks off with the tensions absolutely high after last tribal council. The main source of the tension is Owen, who is super duper pissed because he was almost left out of last week's votes. He's directing most of his anger towards James because James didn't tell him the complete truth. And James is reciprocating that anger and directing it straight back at Owen. It's pretty good. Now it's starting to very clearly look like a James versus Owen situation, and I'm starting to get the feeling that one of them will be leaving this episode. Judging by the edits so far, I'm really thinking that Owen would be the one to come out on top here. I think Owen has gotten a low-key kind of winner's edit so far. His moves aren't too in-your-face flashy, but he does seem to get his way semi-often in the game, and his confessionals really show him to be a mastermind. Hey y'all, just jumping in to say, I actually think the word cunning is a better word to describe Owen's game than mastermind here. The group then goes on to compete in this week's immunity challenge, but this time the challenge is going to be done a little bit differently. This week, there's going to be two separate teams competing for immunity, meaning that there are going to be two immunity winners, two tribal councils, and most importantly, two people will be voted out. That's right, it's double eviction night, baby.
Welcome to double eviction night.
Sorry, not sorry. I low-key miss Big Brother. The players are then split into their two teams and the competition kicks off. To pretty much no one's surprise, Cody is able to come out on top and wins immunity on his team. Cody has been an absolute force all season and has been playing a damn near perfect game. However, Cody's game is semi-obvious to me and a little bit too flashy for me to put him on the winners list yet, but we shall see. On the other team, Karla is able to pull out the win, which is super freaking amazing. Karla just seems so fun, like she totally seems like the type of chick I would hang out with in real life. She's also been playing a pretty good game so far. She's shown as a leader in her confessionals. She's usually on the right side of the vote and usually gets her way, but she's not too flashy. Very nice job. Now, with our two winners chosen, the teams are now going to separate and go off to different camps so that they can make their plans for the vote out. Over at camp number 1, tensions are pretty high as Owen and James are on the same team. They get into a bit of an argument about the whole Jeanine vote again at the water well, which eventually bleeds into camp so that everybody can hear.
Oh, get over yourself. Everything's my fault. Is this for real? Yeah. What happened?
Now they're just arguing in front of everybody, so it's very obvious to me that one of these two guys will be voted out. James is feeling pretty confident and he thinks that he has all the numbers on his side, but little does he know that Noelle has a trick up her sleeve. See, Noelle wants to blindside James. I mean, he has advantages, he has allies. Honestly, it's not a bad idea. It's going to be a little bit tricky convincing the others to vote out James though, as he does have a lot of power in the game right now. When this group goes off to tribal council, right off the bat the discussion is about the Owen and James fight. They rehash the whole fight in front of Jeff and honestly almost get into it again until it is time to vote. But before the vote, Noelle has one last trick up her sleeve as she's going to use her steal a vote advantage to take away Owen's vote from him. Now, Owen doesn't have any votes in the game and Noelle has 2. This move is going to leave James feeling pretty confident, but remember, he is in fact the target this week. Turns out the whole time, Noelle just wanted to make James feel super duper secure so that she can come in and blindside his ass. Damn. The votes are then read, and despite having no vote, Owen is saved and James is ultimately the one who is voted out. James is obviously pissed and seems a little bit bitter, but that's okay, that's totally human. The thing I'm trying to figure out here is, did Noelle waste her advantage? I mean, I get that she wanted to make James feel comfortable enough so that she could trick him, but was the trick absolutely necessary? Could this have been pulled off with Noelle still keeping her advantage in her back pocket? The main argument for Noelle's move is that since James felt comfortable, he didn't use his shot in the dark, which guarantees that he goes home even more. But we don't really know if that's what Noelle was truly thinking. Noelle did say that she did not want James to use his knowledge as power advantage, so maybe she was just trying to beat him to the punch. I don't know, it just seems like it's possible to pull this whole thing off with Noelle keeping her advantage, but of course we don't see everything in the show, so we don't really know all the conversations that were had. So with that first tribal council out the way, let's move on to camp number 2, where it looks like Cassidy and Ryan are both the prime targets. Even though Ryan is a personal favorite of mine, I am really hoping that Cassidy is not the one to go home here, just because it seems like this season the women were disposed of so quickly and easily in this game, which can be frustrating to watch. Cassidy isn't giving up though and is still pushing hard to stay. I must say Cassidy has been really impressing me this season. At first I wasn't sure how long she'd last. I actually wasn't going to be surprised if she was one of the first players voted off of her team, but oh girl is still here, so good for you, Cass. But with all of that being said, I still probably personally would not want to target Ryan in this game. Don't get me wrong, Ryan is lovable and strong, but he doesn't seem like the sharpest tool in the shed, therefore would not be a threat to me personally. Like if I was out there, Ryan would be my BFF, right? Like that would be my best friend and biggest ally. I would align with his ass, bring him all the way to the end just so I could give a wonderful speech and tear him apart in the final tribal council. I truly believe that a himbo always makes for a perfect goat and ally. One thing to point out on this team is that we do see a connection forming between Cody and Gabler here. They form a sort of semi-alliance in this episode where they decide to stick together with their votes no matter what, so I'm just wondering if there's any potential for these two to align further in the game as it moves forward. So after all the game talk, it is now time for this group to go off to tribal council. They have their typical tribe therapy talk, which is filled with all the usual metaphors until it is time to vote. The votes are read, where it is revealed that Ryan is the one who was ultimately voted out. This one was pretty straightforward, no tricks up anybody's sleeve. Even though this isn't what I would do personally, I do think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, Ryan has been a target in this game for a while now, and it's just felt like his days have been numbered. So, of course, I'm interested to know, what did you all think of this double eviction episode? Do you think that Ryan and James were the right choice to make, or do you think it should have been someone else instead? Let me know in the comments below. So right now I'm looking at Owen, Jesse, and Sami as my top 3 winner picks. I think all these guys are making pretty big, bold moves in the game without seeming too much like a mastermind. And I also feel like these 3 would all do an excellent job of speaking to themselves and to their respective games during the final tribal council if they make it that far. Who knows though, there is still a lot of game left to be played, and this is just my little prediction. Again, if you have not already, make sure you hit the subscribe button below just so you can stay updated as we wrap up this wonderful season of Survivor. I will talk to you all later, but until next time, peace.